Okay, I'm back. And one thing that I did want you to do was you should change all of those distances from centimeters into meters. So I gave you a distance of 20 centimeters. So if you divide 20 by 100, you get 0.2. So I'll take each of those numbers for your distances and divide them by 100, and that will convert them into meters. So you should now have the very first column completed for your 5 different distances, and you should also have another column completed that has the apparent brightnesses. Now we're only doing it in one direction, so you don't need to fill in all 5 of the columns and then average it. You're only going to have one column there. So the next thing that it says to do is to graph it. So we're going to graph the apparent brightness versus R. And so you're going to, now if you're having difficulties with this, if you go to Canvas and then Modules and then under Classroom Materials, there will be a document that says how to graph using Microsoft Excel. So we should have already done this in class before, so you should know how to do this. But if this sounds confusing, go to that document, how to graph using Microsoft Excel, under the modules, and then that will tell you exactly what buttons that I am pressing on the computer. So I'm going to try to describe it to you, but it's a whole lot better if you've got that other document in front of you. So what I'm going to do is highlight the distance column, only the numbers. Now you're not allowed, let's say that one of your numbers was 0.2, do not write 0.2 m for meters, because the computer can only graph numbers. So you should only have numbers in that yellow column, 0.2, 0.4, 0.6, 0.8, and then 1. So you're just going to highlight those numbers. Okay, next you're going to highlight again only the numbers in the column for the apparent brightness. And so you're going to press the control button, and then you can highlight that column also. So if you do a control, and then you can highlight it. Otherwise, when you go to highlight it, your distance column will disappear. So we need to highlight both columns in order to graph it. Alright, now next, up at the top of the Microsoft Excel document, it says File, Home, and then the word Insert. So I need for you to click on that button that says the word Insert. Okay, and then what it's going to give you is about halfway across the top, it will say the word Charts. And then the very bottom row, the one that is next to the circle that has the wedge in it, there is a graph, an XY graph, and you're going to click on that one. And it's when you click on it, it's going to say the word scatter, and then you're going to be given various possible graphs that you can make. And you want to pick the one that is the first row, and it's in the second column, and it's going to, when you highlight it, it's going to say scatter with smooth lines and markers. So go ahead and click on that button, and you see that it has now graphed your data for you. It should be a curve that is decreasing as the distance increases. Okay, Now we need to analyze that graph. And the way that we're going to do that is you take the cursor, you put it on one of those blue dots, and then you're going to do a right click on it. And then you're going to get a box that says delete, reset to match style, change series, chart type, and so forth. Go down to where it says add trend line and click on that. Okay, and then you should now get another blue box over to the right hand side that says format trend line. And you'll notice that on your graph it gave you a straight line. So that would be the computer's best guess as to the correct straight line that goes with your data. Now, do you think that it's a straight line? No. It's actually a curving line. So I'd like for you to click on the button that says exponential, and then click on the circle that says logarithmic, and just kind of cycle through those different kinds of curves and figure out which one do you think is the correct one. Okay, the answer is the power. So you should have clicked on the one that says power. Okay, now if you will go underneath all of that, in that blue box, it's going to say display equation on the chart. So you may have to grab the white bar and pull it down so that you can see what's underneath all of that. And so there will be a box that you can click that will say display equation on chart. So I'm going to click on it, and you might not be able to read that, so you might need to pull it up to the top part of the chart so that you can read what it says. And mine is saying y equals 6.7184 times x to the negative 1.235. Okay, so that's the number that I am getting. Okay, now what we want to do is interpret what is the meaning of that equation. And so the way that we can do this is on our graph, the up and down part of the graph is the y-axis. Well, look at the numbers in your graph. What is the y part representing? Is it representing the distance or the brightness? Just by looking at the numbers, you can see that the up and down part, the y, is the apparent brightness F. So now in that formula, instead of the letter Y, you can substitute the letter F. Okay, now what does the X represent? The X is the sideways part of the graph. Okay, and it is the distance. So instead of the letter X, we could put the letter R for distance. So now we've got this formula from the graph, and now we still want to interpret what does that mean. So I want you to think about that, and then when I come back in the next video, we'll discuss it some more.